breakfast and ensure that her children were ready for school. By 5 a.m., she was already out the door, catching a danfo to her first job at a local bakery. As she kneaded dough and baked bread, her thoughts a mother's sacrifice. Adaobi Okike was a single mother living in the bustling city of Lagos, Nigeria. The energy of Lagos, with its incessant noise and never-ending movement, contrasted sharply with Adaobi's quiet, hard-working nature. Adaobi had 3 children, Chinedu, Ifeoma and Kelechi. Each day began before dawn, as she hurried to prepare breakfast and ensure that her children were ready for school. By 5 a.m., she was already out the door, catching a danfo to her first job at a local bakery. As she kneaded dough and baked bread, her thoughts often wandered to her children. Chinedu, the eldest at 18, was in his final year of secondary school, with dreams of studying engineering at the University of Lagos. Ifeoma, 16, had a passion for fashion design and spent hours sketching outfits in her notebook. Kelechi, the youngest at 10, was a bright and curious boy who loved reading about history and science. After finishing her shift at the bakery, Adaobi rushed to her second job as a cleaner in an office building. She worked diligently, always with a smile on her face, even as exhaustion threatened to overwhelm her. Her final job of the day was as a cook in a small restaurant, where she worked until late into the night. By the time she returned home, her children were usually asleep. She often wondered if they understood the extent of her sacrifices, but she knew that providing for them was her utmost priority. One evening, Chinedu came home from school and noticed his mother's weary expression. He had always known she worked hard, but lately she seemed more tired than usual. He decided to talk to Ifeoma and Kelechi about it. "We need to do something for Mama," Chinedu said, as they sat around the small kitchen table. "She's always working and hardly gets any rest. We need to find a way to help her." Ifeoma nodded in agreement. "I've been thinking the same thing. She never gets time for herself. Maybe we could start by doing more around the house and taking care of some of her chores." Kelechi, with his big bright eyes, looked up at his older siblings. "We should make a plan. Mama does so much for us. It's time we do something for her." They started small, with Chinedu taking on more responsibilities, like cooking dinner, and Ifeoma helping with the cleaning. Kelechi, despite his young age, made sure to keep his room tidy and helped with laundry. One day while cleaning, Ifeoma stumbled upon an old dusty box in their mother's closet. Inside, she found notebooks filled with Adaobi's neat handwriting. They were filled with stories, poems, and even a novel, all written by their mother. "Did you know Mama used to write?" Ifeoma asked, showing the notebooks to Chinedu. "I had no idea," Chinedu replied, flipping through the pages. "She must have given it up to take care of us." The discovery deepened their resolve to find a way to honor their mother's sacrifices. Chinedu, Ifeoma, and Kelechi began brainstorming ways to help their mother achieve her dreams. They knew they couldn't do it alone, so they decided to enlist the help of their close friends and neighbors. Mrs. Ease, their neighbor, had always been kind to them. She often helped Adaobi with small favors, like watching Kelechi when he was younger. When they explained their plan to her, she was immediately on board. "I've known your mother for many years," Mrs. Ease said. "She's one of the strongest women I know. If there's anything I can do to help, I'm in." With Mrs. Ease's help, they organized a community meeting to gather more support. They invited people who knew Adaobi and had witnessed her tireless dedication over the years. As they shared her story, more and more people volunteered to help. One of the volunteers was Mr. Obina, a local businessman who owned a small publishing company. When he heard about Adaobi's hidden talent for writing, he offered to read her work. "I can't promise anything," Mr. Obina said, "but if her writing is as good as you say, I might be able to help her get published." Chinedu and Ifeoma were overjoyed. This was the opportunity they had been hoping for. With Mr. Obina's encouragement, they gathered Adaobi's notebooks and carefully typed up her stories and poems. It was a labor of love, with each child contributing in their own way. Chinedu handled the typing, Ifeoma worked on editing, and even Kelechi helped by organizing the pages. When they presented the manuscript to Mr. Obina, he was impressed. Adaobi's writing was captivating, filled with emotion and vivid imagery. He agreed to publish a collection of her short stories titled Echoes of the Heart. The children kept the project a secret from their mother, wanting to surprise her. In the meantime, they continued to take on more responsibilities at home, giving Adaobi a chance to rest, even if just a little. Finally, the day of the book launch arrived. They had planned a small celebration at Mrs. Ease's house, inviting friends and neighbors who had supported their efforts. Chinedu and Ifeoma told Adaobi that they were going to a community event and insisted she come along. When they arrived, Adaobi was surprised to see so many familiar faces. She was even more surprised when Mr. Obina stepped forward and handed her a copy of Echoes of the Heart. "This is for you," he said with a smile. "Your children have been working hard to make this happen." Adaobi's eyes filled with tears as she held the book in her hands. She looked at her children who were beaming with pride. "You did this for me?" she asked, her voice choked with emotion. "We wanted to show you how much we appreciate everything you've done for us," Chinedu said. "We found your stories and knew they had to be shared with the world." The publication of Echoes of the Heart was a turning point for Adaobi and her family. The book received positive reviews and garnered attention in the local literary community. Adaobi was invited to speak at events and share her story, inspiring others with her resilience and talent. With the money she earned from her book sales, Adaobi was able to cut back on her long hours and spend more time with her children. She even began working on a new novel, something she had always dreamed of doing. The children too were transformed by the experience. Chinedu, Ifeoma and Kelechi had not only discovered their mother's hidden talent, but also learned the value of hard work, dedication, and the importance of family. They continued to support each other, knowing that together they could overcome any challenge. The community, inspired by Adaobi's story, came together in new ways. They started programs to support single parents, offering childcare, job training, and other resources to help them pursue their dreams. As Adaobi looked around at the life she had built with her children, she felt a deep sense of gratitude. She had sacrificed so much for them, but in the end they had given her the greatest gift of all, the chance to follow her dreams and create a better future for them all. A year after the publication of Echoes of the Heart, Adaobi was preparing for the launch of her second book, a novel titled The Journey Within. Her literary success had not only changed her life, but had also created new opportunities for her children. Chinedu had been accepted into the engineering program at the University of Lagos, thanks in part to a scholarship he earned through a community program inspired by their family's story. Ifeoma had started her own small business designing and sewing clothes, using a portion of the book's proceeds to buy her first sewing machine. Kelechi, now 11, was thriving in school and had developed a love for writing, often penning his own short stories inspired by his mother's work. On the day of the book launch, the family gathered at a local bookstore, surrounded by friends, neighbors, and supporters. Adaobi felt a mixture of nerves and excitement as she prepared to read an excerpt from her new novel. As she looked out at the crowd, she saw faces of those who had helped her along the way, and her heart swelled with gratitude. She began to read, her voice steady and strong. The words flowed effortlessly, carrying the audience into the world she had created. When she finished, the room erupted in applause. Tears of joy streamed down her face as she realized just how far they had come. After the reading, Adaobi was approached by a young woman named Amina, who introduced herself as a single mother struggling to make ends meet. "Your story has given me hope," Amina said. "I've always loved to write, but I never thought I could make a living from it. Seeing what you've achieved has inspired me to pursue my own dreams." Adaobi smiled and took Amina's hand. "Never give up on your dreams," she said. "No matter how difficult it seems, there is always a way. And remember, you are never alone. There is always someone willing to help, just as my children and community helped me." As the years passed, Adaobi's books continued to touch the lives of many. She became a prominent figure in the Nigerian literary scene, using her platform to advocate for single parents and promote education and literacy. Her children, now adults, carried forward the lessons they had learned from their mother's sacrifices. Chinedu became a successful engineer, using his skills to develop affordable housing solutions for low-income families. Ifeoma's fashion business flourished, and she used her success to mentor young, aspiring designers. Kelechi followed in his mother's footsteps, becoming a writer and publishing his own books, many of which focused on themes of resilience and hope. Adaobi often reflected on her journey and the incredible support she had received from her children and community. She knew that her story was not just about her own success, but about the power of love, sacrifice, and the unbreakable bond of family. One evening, as they gathered for a family dinner, Adaobi looked around the table at her grown children and their accomplishments. She felt an overwhelming sense of pride and gratitude. "We've come a long way," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "I couldn't have done it without you. You've given me the strength to follow my dreams, and I am so proud of each of you for following yours." Chinedu, Ifeoma, and Kelechi smiled, their eyes shining with love and appreciation. "We learned from the best," Chinedu said, raising his glass. "To Mama, the strongest and most inspiring person we know." They clinked their glasses together, a symbol of their shared journey and the unbreakable bond that had carried them through life's challenges. As they celebrated their achievements and the bright future ahead, they knew that their story was far from over. It was a legacy of love, sacrifice, and the enduring power of family, a legacy that would continue to inspire generations to come. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, share, and press the notification button for more interesting and captivating stories. See you in the next story.